here is part 4 of the history of MTWS. Last time out, I talked about the inaugural 2009 season, but now after 2 months away, I'm finally back, and this episode, I'm going to talk about the 2010 season. So I hope you got some popcorn ready, because this is going to be a good story time. So here we go. When I last left off in part 3, it was February 2010, and I just finally finished the 2009 MTWS season. And oh my god, what a relief that was. 6 months of work finally over, as MTWS finished its inaugural 2009 season, and we have 2 new champs to celebrate. But of course, I wasn't fully sure yet if I was going to continue on MTWS. I mean, that was a lot of work, and I was kind of burnt out after all of that, especially the championship, the Dallas event, doing all them live. I wasn't sure if I was going to continue doing it, and if I did, I might have to make the quality lower or not. So I didn't think about it pretty much at first, especially since I wanted to enjoy all the snow that we got that was blizzard. But then by the end of the month, the itch finally came back, and I decided I am going to come back for a second season. So it's now March, and I decided to get right back to work on the league, and I realized right off the bat, because remember, at the end of the 2009 season, there were 19 trucks, and the field for championship had 12. I knew for a fact I did not want it to be 12 trucks. That was too small for the championship, and I eventually decided the goal would be that MTWS would have a 24 field championship like the World Finals for Monster Jam was at the time, remember. But I don't have that many trucks. I could make, if I have 5 more, I technically would have enough, but I'm not going to have a league where all 24 trucks compete in a championship. There would be no point of a point stance pretty much at that point. So I know I needed more trucks than that, but there's no way I was going to more than double the field of trucks just to get a 24 truck championship field. So I eventually compromised. I would slowly expand to 24 trucks for championships. So I decided in 2010, I will have an 18 truck field for the championship. And then in 2011, I'll finally expand to 24 trucks in the championship. So that way it will give me slowly enough time to make the new trucks and all for the next 2 seasons. So I eventually decided I was going to make 7 new trucks for 2010 to get the field up to 26 trucks in total. 3 trucks in no particular interest were Madness, Ye Plunderer, and Blood Rage. However, there were 4 trucks in particular that were very, very important and special. The first of those 4 trucks was Nitro, and what made Nitro very special was it was the first, and still remains to this day, only non-American truck that competes in MTWS. It's based in Canada. Now, it's debatable if the next 2 trucks on the list are also should be considered foreign, since they're not based in America, but I chose New York for their location. But that's what made Nitro very special, that it was the first non-American truck. Because after that, I made 2 Pokemon trucks, Heart of Gold and Soul of Silver. As you all know, I am a huge Pokemon fan. And back in 2009, I actually made a special Pokemon truck to celebrate my 10 years of playing Pokemon, but I never got to debut it. Although the 2012 Pokemon truck I made, pretty much the same paint scheme as the 2009 truck I made. And also when I made these trucks, I wanted to make the trucks based upon the new game, because remember, Black and White were being made this time. They were not announced in Japan at the time. It wouldn't be till next month when they finally were announced, but it was revealed the first new Pokemon, Zara and Zoroark, for Gen 5, but they didn't say what the games were yet, so I had to go with Heart Gold, Soul Silver, which were the most recent games at the time. But there's one truck in particular that's very, very special, and that is Eruption. But what's interesting about it is, although Eruption debuted in 2010, it was made back in 2009. It was already around before I made the other trucks, and I'm sure a lot of us are wondering, especially a historian that's watching this hopefully, how is it that Eruption was made in 2009 but did not debut in 2010? I mean, after all, as you can see in this picture right here, in the photo of the 2009 championship, you can see Eruption back there in the pits. It was around that time. Well, I don't think I've ever told anyone this story, but I'm now finally going to tell you. Back in November 2009, I got kind of bored with MTWS and I wanted to do a brand new league. And I wanted to make it the role play that MTWS never ended up becoming. So, I made my first truck, and that was Eruption. Eruption was one of Pablo's Gravediggers repainted, and likewise, Shatter and MTWS, Eruption was going to be my truck for this league. However, after I made Eruption, nothing came of it. I didn't make any new trucks, I never set up the league whatsoever, and I never competed the first ever event for it. So then by February and March of 2010, I went through the files when I was making new trucks, and I found Eruption's model in bin edit, and I was thinking right then and there, you know, I made this truck, I put a lot of work into the paint and all, maybe I should use it instead of just leaving it there to waste, because at the time I had no concept idea of how to delete the models and stuff safely. So that's when I eventually decided I'm going to have Eruption debut in MTWS. And just like Shatter was, perhaps maybe Eruption's personality was influenced by my driving. So with that, I had a 26 truck field now to get ready for the 2010 season, with 18 of them going to the championship. It was now early August 2010, and the field was all ready to go pretty much for the 2010 season opener in Houston. However, I ran into a little bit of a problem. As all 7 trucks were going to compete in the event, I had a problem deciding how the order for freestyle was going to be. I knew all 7 trucks would go out first, but I had no idea how that order would be determined or not. So I eventually thought of a very unique experience and idea to try. I was going to do a test freestyle with all the 7 trucks. Now, a lot of you who know MTWS are talking about, oh, like the test run videos I did back in 2011-12. Exactly. Those were not, the 2011 one was not the first one I did. The first one I did was back in 2010. Now, I did not make the track. I downloaded one of the older tracks from the 90s. It was an arena track. It was gigantic and weird and crazy and all. The trucks had 90 seconds to go out there and do the best they could, and that's how I helped set up the field. So 2010 was the first year I actually did the test runs, not 2011, and I wish I knew what this track was so I could show it to you all, but I have no idea, and I'm not kidding, there are hundreds and hundreds of tracks in the late 90s build, so I wasn't going to go spend hours and hours going through each one individually. Maybe one day if I find it again, I'll show you all, because I know if I see it again, I'm going to see it instantly, know exactly what that track is. But that was interesting to talk about. And then the day finally arrived, August 25th, 2010, for the 2010 season opener in Houston. And wow, what an exciting event it was. 16 trucks, all 7 rookies were there, and a whole bunch of veterans from last year, including Outlaw, Mad Dog, Crazy Bull, Crazy, Impala, Thunderbolt, and many more. This was a star-studded field, and to the surprise of everyone, Eruption, the rookie truck, ended up getting the #1 qualifier, only to be just like Fireball last year and was one and done. But the main talked about story was Nitro, who did not good in qualifying and ended up making it all the way to the semifinals, where it ended up losing to Impala in a close race. But on the other side of the bracket was very special, as it was Crazy Bull versus Outlaw. Their first rematch after the 2009 championship, and just like in that event, Crazy Bull screwed up in the turn, hit the turning cars, and ended up being an easy victory for Outlaw, who then faced Impala in the finals, but Impala ended up getting the victory to knock off Outlaw for his first loss as the champion, and just like the year before, made it to the finals, but this time got the victory instead of losing to Shatter in the finals. Then freestyle was wicked. All the rookie trucks did as good as they could, including Nitro, who did an incredible run to start off its rookie season. Ended up getting like a 30, I think it was, and stayed in the lead for a long time before Crazy came out there and ended up putting up a sick run to get the win with a 33 to start off the year strong. that September had a lot of incredible things happen. Of course, as I mentioned in the MTWS history video last time out, this is when I had my error on the Dell, where when I load up a track in game, it would take up over a half a minute to load up the track in game to play, and then like another half a minute to leave. This was not the case, and is not the case anywhere else I've tried. It was only on the Dell, and it basically made the events take much longer to do, and it was so frustrating and so aggravating, especially when I was testing out obstacles and when I was making tracks. Oh god, it was very frustrating. And that led to me doing a left lane and a right lane for racing for MTWS and all my other events that I filmed and all. But when I put the tracks up, I would get rid of the left lane, so there's only one racing version of each track. And then a big highlight story was in Toronto, where we almost had a truck fold during the season, because back then until up to 2012, the trucks had their own money, basically. They had to pay for travel, damage, and all that, and they would get a winning purse for how they did it in the season. Madness, unfortunately, had a very rough start to the year. Remember, it had a violent flip in racing, and then violently shoved into the double in freestyle, and at the end of it, it was such a financial hole that if they did not do good in Toronto, it could have folded. But to the surprise of everyone, Madness under pressure, managed to make it all the way to the finals for the first time and beat Thunderbolt to win its first race. What a massive highlight that was, that saved Madness's existence in MTWS. And then later on that month in Cincinnati, one of the most craziest things happened that I don't think ever happened in monster trucks, except maybe one time perhaps. But it was the first time in MTWS history where two trucks flipped in a race before they finished racing. It was in round 2 against Solo Silver and Outlaw, and that track, it was the St. Louis style setup in Cincinnati with a van stack right near the racing lanes. Once they jumped them, Solo Silver hit the side of the van stack after the jump and flipped over, making an automatic win for Outlaw. But of course, Outlaw still had the race. However, on the first turn, Outlaw went really sharp and spun out and went into a double that was out there as an obstacle, went up the double, went up the side of it trying to crawl down to get back into the racing lanes, and then nosedived and flipped off the side of the double, which means both trucks lost, and that gave the truck they were racing, Crazy, a bye run into the semifinals since it automatically won, since both didn't make it to across the line, which gave Crazy its first finals appearance before it ended up losing to Fireball. And then another incredible highlight in October was Shatter Double Down in San Diego, which of course I forgot to mention 2009, thank you Duncan for reminding me, was the site of the first Double Down in 2009. And the same result happened with Shatter this time getting a double down, as it was a trend where a truck would double down in San Diego and Crazy Bull would be the runner-up in racing. That was the trend for a bunch of years. It's now November 28th, 2010, as this was the Minneapolis event, and two things were very interesting about this. First off, this set up a trend where Patriot went out there and was the #1 qualifier. It won racing, and of course it came out first in freestyle and decided to go for the sweep. Went out very strong, ended up getting a 31, and ended up finishing second place at the end of the night, runner up to Nitro, who got another freestyle win that year. That was incredible for it. And that began a trend for Patriot in Minneapolis where it would go out first in freestyle because of that, and it's done very, very, very impressive every time it's freestyled in Minneapolis. Almost win freestyles, but still has yet to do so. However, overall, the event was honestly, I think one of the worst run MTWS events, besides maybe 2009. The track, the freestyle setup was very, very bad. A whole bunch of trucks flipped too early and all. Oh my god, it was so bad. But I know why it was the case, because the week I was working on the track for the event, I was too busy getting laid for the first time that entire week for Thanksgiving. Oh man, how fun that was to finally fuck after all these years of waiting. And unfortunately, I was too busy fucking too much that I didn't put a lot of work in the track, so the quality was bad. So yeah, it's all my fault. I take full responsibility for not doing a good job making a track because I was too busy thinking with my dick. And if it makes it up to you all, she never made me come, as I had to satisfy her all that time, and then she would fall asleep and leave me high and dry. So I guess you could say in one way, that's a funny ass punishment. It was now December of 2010, as it was time for the season finale in New York, which was a lot of work. They had to make that whole entire stadium by scratch, as we did not have MetLife Stadium yet, and still don't. I had to make the stadium myself for the future events. And it was wild and crazy. In fact, what was incredible about it is that the finals was Mad Dog versus Nitro, with Mad Dog winning, as that was a future championship matchup, which I'll get to later, but Mad Dog got it. But then early on into freestyle, an incredible thing happened. Possibly the first time ever in monster truck history, it snowed in an event. Yep, it actually snowed, and actually became heavy snow as the event went on. It got so bad that it was whiteout conditions pretty much. All the obstacles were covered in snow, the dirt was covered in snow, the trucks slide out. Oh god, it was so beautiful and so nostalgic for that event. Oh god, it was so great. But in the end, Outlaw and Mad Dog ended up winning the season finale, as Mad Dog got the double down as we got ready to go into the championship. Finally, after all the hard work, the 2010 season finally came to an end with the championship, this time in Las Vegas instead of Los Angeles, as back then, remember, I did rotations for each site for a championship. But despite being Sam Boyd, it was not Vegas style in terms of coming in from Thunder Alley. No, it was all done inside the stadium, as that was the racing set for the Los Angeles Championship in 2009. And that was the setup for the first 4 years of MTWS. And the first interesting thing of the 2010 championship was that Wild Ride, who made it, decided to go on a brand new body. This time a Chevy, as it was a Dodge from the 90s, from 2009 to 2010. And this is the body and pretty much the paint scheme it would run for its entire existence, except till 2009 when it did that 10th anniversary paint. But the main talking point going into the championship was Nitro, the rookie, who had an incredible season, winning race after freestyle, stunned everyone by getting the #1 qualifier, edging out the defending racing champion, Outlaw, Crazy Bull, Mad Dog, all of them got the #1 qualifier. It was stunning. So we then got to racing, which was an 18 truck bracket, where I did an interesting racing setup where there would be 2 races in round 1. It would knock down the field from 18 to 16. So 14 of the 18 trucks competing got right into round 2. After incredible action, it was down to 2 final races of the semifinals. The first one was an incredible one, as Nitro, the rookie and the #1 qualifier, was going to have to face the defending racing champion Outlaw. Nitro did its best, and Outlaw unfortunately pushed it too hard and screwed up in the turn, allowing Nitro to get the win in an upset. An incredible victory it was, as Outlaw was dethroned. And then in the next race was Crazy Bull and Mad Dog, a rematch from the semifinals the previous year, as Crazy Bull now has a shot to get its first racing title, as Mad Dog wanted to try and make it to its first championship appearance. But just like last year, Crazy Bull choked and blew it in the turn, and Mad Dog got the win. So the finals was set. Nitro, the rookie, the #1 qualifier, going up against Mad Dog, the defending freestyle champion. Both were very desperate to get their first racing title, especially Mad Dog to be the first truck to get 2 titles. They went right down to the wire, and for the first and still only time to this day in MTWS, the finals was a photo finish in favor of Nitro, and Nitro did the unthinkable. As a rookie, not only did it get the #1 qualifier, it was the racing winner and was 1 step away from performing the unthinkable, a sweep in the championship. Freestyle started with a bang, as Wild Ride went out first and put up an incredible run to get things started with a 25. However, after many trucks came out, it was Eliminator that led with a 29 before Nitro came out and went for the sweep, and oh my god, it put up an incredible run, including infamous when we brought a camper on the flatbed. It went straight for the flatbed the other way, knocked the camper off the flatbed and got stuck on top of it, which was really cool, and ended up finishing the run with an incredible score of 31 to take the lead. Nitro put itself in contention to go for the sweep, but after surviving 2 trucks, Night Outlaw came out there, trying to get revenge for losing its racing title, and it had an incredible freestyle, hit everything out there at full throttle, and ended up getting revenge on Nitro by getting a score of 35, which edged out for the lead to prevent Nitro from getting a sweep. And after holding on to Crazy and Shatter, all that's left was Mad Dog, the defending freestyle champion, who started off strong but unfortunately flipped too early to end its run short. And with that, Outlaw won freestyle with a 35 to get its first freestyle title, becoming the first truck to get 2 titles and a racing and a freestyle title. Now, what made 2010's championship weird and unfortunate was that it was the first and only event in the championship that did not have an encore. The reason why it didn't have an encore is because back then, I filmed the championship and stuff literally the day before and the same day that the event happened, instead of like the week or so ahead of time. And I just did not have enough time because there was something wrong that eventually led to the championship not being done till 9 p.m. that night, and I just didn't have enough time to get the encore done in time, so I couldn't do it. So that's why there was no encore to championship. It was unfortunately just no time left. If I did the event like a week ahead of time like I do now and shit, I probably wouldn't be able to do so. And I think overall, I'm pretty sure Outlaw would have came out for an encore because it was still in one piece with freestyle to celebrate its win. But who knows what else would have happened. But with that, the 2010 season was officially over. And I couldn't believe it. 2 seasons now. And I got much better at filming and crap. And it felt, wow, just incredible. I couldn't believe it. But of course, since I already said earlier, I had plans already for 2011. That meant the 2011 season would indeed happen, as MTWS was going to get ready for its 3rd season. But that story is for another time, as this was part 4 of the History of MTWS, where I talked about the 2010 season. Tune in hopefully soon for part 5 when I talk about the 2011 season. And oh boy, there's a lot of crap, and I mean a lot of crap, I gotta talk about, especially at the beginning of the year. So see you guys next time, and I hope you enjoyed hearing about the 2010 MTWS season, as I had a joyful time talking about it too.